Yes, and we're back.
Do you have a person who has inspired you in your life? And if so, would you be able to talk about that person at all?
Yeah, so the question is, do I have somebody who's inspired me? Actually, I have a lot of people who've inspired me. One of them sitting up right here, my wife, who, who keeps me sane. You know, there's so many different. I've been really blessed in terms of just meeting really interesting people at sort of key junctures of my life. You know, it starts with family, obviously, whether it's my parents or my grandparents. At different stages. But I'm going to pick one person who was one of my coaches. After I finished competing in college, I came to Philadelphia actually because I wanted to compete at a higher level in rowing. And I took a job as a teacher. I thought, I could teach and I would have enough flexibility in the summer to be able to race, the national and perhaps the international circuit. And I connected with this coach very accidentally, and he was a really interesting guy. He had grown up right in Philly, and was a blue-collar guy. Worked as a shop foreman for Philadelphia Gear. Any of you remember Philly Gear? They used to make the huge gears for big ships and so forth, and for other huge transportation vehicles and whatnot. And he was a shop foreman, and what that allowed him to do was to stay connected to his passion, which was rowing and coaching rowing. And he loved coaching young people in particular. And so when I first met him, he was just turning 50, and he's now 81, and he's still coaching every day, and he's particularly passionate about coaching high school kids. And there was a key point in my sort of career. I'd gone to New York to work for a few years, and I was getting a little frustrated. Some of the things I talked about that I think are really important in terms of passion, good ethics is good business, all those sorts of things, I wasn't seeing where I was working. The work itself was actually very interesting and intellectually stimulating, but the company didn't have a real direction. They hadn't figured out their why, if you will. Why do we exist? And there clearly was no passion for the client and doing the right thing. So I was getting frustrated and decided to interview here. And I got very lucky, and Vanguard was looking for somebody in a field that I knew nothing about, but they were willing to talk to me. And I went to see this coach, and we sat in his backyard, and he lives in Roxborough in a little row house, and went out to, anybody ever been to D'Alessandro's? Before they were the management change a couple years ago, I think the best cheesesteaks in Philadelphia, and got a couple of cheesesteaks and a 6-pack of beer, and we went and we just sort of talked about life. And the thing he said to me goes, whatever you do, he says, you have all these choices ahead of you, follow your passion, and make sure that your passion and your values completely are in sync with what you're going to do. And it was the light bulb. It was sort of the thing that pushed me over, because when I was interviewing with Vanguard, this firm I was working for was a global bank with offices in 110 countries, 40,000 employees, sort of a bastion of Wall Street, and all kinds of opportunities and whatnot. And Vanguard at the time was, you have to go back to 1986, it was a few hundred people in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, and mutual funds weren't a real big thing at that point, and it seemed like a complete non sequitur to take the job. But when I interviewed with 37 people, I mean, we put people through their paces to get a job. We still do this today, and one of the people for whom I was going to work for a very long time, I said, what are you trying to do here? And he said, I want the intellectual rigor that you've experienced on Wall Street with Midwestern values. And that's when it all clicked in. And it married up with what this rowing coach had told me, follow your passion and follow your values, and made the decision easy, and I've never looked back. And you could say, better to be lucky than smart. I'm living proof of that. But it was, that guy was so instrumental in everything that happened. And Katie would tell you he's also instrumental in Katie and I meeting and getting married. You know, there were so many different facets of my life that this one individual kind of inspired. So there are a lot of other people I could talk about, but you know, he's the one that's sort of at a pivotal time that comes to mind.